guys, it's your girl Sherene. I'm here again. One of the reason why I love singing so much because singing is it is the ideal thing that carries me through. This morning I woke up. I woke up to a picture of from my aunt. She sent me a picture, and when I clicked on the picture, it was my mother. She was getting married for the first time, and when I looked in my dad's hand was a baby picture of me, and it brought me back to the memories of who my mother was. And she was, guys, she was so loving, so kind. Now, growing up in Jamaica, um, I grew up in a small community, or other known as a village. It's in a parish called St. Thomas, Funtil, a district. My mother's name was Rose, otherwise known as Rosie. People, they were fond of my mother because she was a jovial person. She died 9 years ago. She had a heart failure, but growing up with my mother was good and not so good. My mother wasn't abusive. For the not so good part, it was more because we were poor, very poor. And I thought that life could have offered better, but I didn't know what better was. So my mother was always there, encouraging us, me and my little brother, showing us how to live. And although we were really poor, there were days that we would just laugh about stuff, and we would just sit around because my mother had a dirt kitchen, and the flooring of my mother's kitchen was dirt. And the way how this dirt was set, because of constant walking, it would set as if it was concrete. And we would just sit at the entrance of the kitchen because it was made from bamboo, and we would just laugh and laugh about it. And my mother, she was such a good cook, like really good cook. And she just put things together, and the food was so good. Because even my cousins, they still, and they can attest to her cooking. That was what they really loved her for. And persons in the community, like when their family members would come from overseas, they would call my mother to cook, and she would cook huge pots of food and huge pots of soup. She'll be cooking like a different varieties of food one time, and she wouldn't burn any. She wouldn't make none over salt. She would just do the right proportions. And while cooking, the smoke will be burning her eyes, but she'll be singing a little song. Sometimes you wouldn't hear the song while she's doing these major cooking, but once you go closer to her, she's humming a song, like humming a song. Whatever she did, she would just sing and sing and sing. There were times when I was like, my mother is washing and she's singing. My mother is cooking and she's singing. And I would ask her, I would go to her, and I was like, why do you sing so much? And she would say, my dear, you don't understand. Singing is what carries me through. When you grow up, you will understand. And she would encourage us. She's always encouraging. And she said, this is how you're going to do this. And we will join in the singing. And then we will start laughing. Because when I was younger, I would make all the mistake in the singing. And we would just laugh about it. But she will always say, sing. Just sing, Sherene, sing. And I would sing. And I grew up with the same attitude. I sing for everything. I'm going on the road and I'll be singing. I'm at home and I'll be singing. I'm in the bathroom washing and I'll be singing. Everything I do, I will be singing. And I thank her for these life lessons, these lifelong lessons, because they have taught me how to be strong. They have taught me how to cope when some storms are raging. There are days that I must attest. There are days when I feel like I just can't go no more. And I would just start singing. And that's how I would get through life. My mother didn't know what it means or feels like to use a regular flushed toilet. She didn't know that. She didn't know what it felt like to use a regular gas stove or electric stove. She didn't know that. She didn't know what it felt like to wear fancy clothes. The way how we were poor, we used to cook with wood fire, and when we would take a shower after, we would still smell like wood fire. And my mother didn't care. If she's going in town, she would still smells like wood fire. And she would go proud as if she had on a Gucci perfume or whatever the perfume out there may be. We didn't have what it takes to use perfume. We had to use like lime underneath our armpit because we didn't have deodorants. We couldn't afford deodorants. And she would teach us how to be contented with what you have until the Lord provides for you. There are days when my mother, she would sing and we would wonder, why are you singing? And we're hungry. And she would just call us. Now, my mother used to wear these big skirts or these big dresses. I'm telling you, she could have put you underneath and you're hidden from society and no one can find you. That's the way how it was big. And she would just put us at a corner and she would sing and sing and sing and sing. And she would tell us that God will make a way. And I couldn't understand. I didn't want to understand because we were going through so much and it was unbearable. There were days when, in order for us to make money, she would wash other person's dirty laundry. And some of the time when she finished washes these dirty clothes, we still couldn't afford food. We still couldn't go to school. And she would still just sing. I couldn't understand why she would sing through life. But one of the things that she taught me was to hold on to the promises of God. Always remember that He will make a way. And this morning when I saw the picture of my mother, it just reminded me of the struggles that we went through, the restless nights, and she would just whisper things, you know. She would come to where we were sleeping, whether it's on the floor or wherever. She would sing a little song. My mother has died 9 years now, and I haven't gone back to her house because once you enter the entrance of my mother's house, back in those days when she was alive, you would hear her singing, just singing and singing coming from behind the house. You wouldn't see her, but you just hear her singing. And I remember one time I went back home and I wanted to go there, but I didn't hear no singing. So I just couldn't go back. I just couldn't go back. I remember one time too, we were in the house, me and my little brother, and we were so hungry, and she was so irritated because she didn't have nothing for us to eat, and my father was out, and it was pouring, rain was pouring, and my brother ran right out in the rain, and he was crying that he was sore with hunger, and she just grabbed him and picked him up, and she said, I don't have anything to offer you, but I was singing this song, you know, and my brother was, I'm tired of the singing, I'm tired. And she sang, but we didn't know how to comprehend it. But what I do know now, as I look back on the memories of her, was that she found peace through singing. And there are days when When I'm feeling lost or hopeless, I found myself doing the same things, having the same characters that she had displayed. So that's one of the reason, that's the most reason or the best reason why I sing. I sing all the time, guys. My family members will tell you that if I hear one line of something, I make a song from it or remember a song to sing. And they would always tell me, you just love to sing too much. But they wouldn't understand sometimes how these songs mend whatever is happening inside me. They wouldn't understand exactly where I'm coming from. And that is why I sing the way that I do all the time. Like when I have terrible storms in my life, when I have downfalls or anything, singing is what that brings me to a place of comfort. But that's who I am. And that was just a little peek of who my mother was. My mother was very hardworking. She would wake up as God says, let there be a sun in the sky. She would be up before that. And she would be outside trying to put things together, trying to accumulate stuff. And one of her drive when we were growing up was to always pushes us. And sometimes we would say, why are you pushing us like that? I think you don't like us. And she said, no, I love you. Because the world that is out there, I'm preparing you for it. But I was like, no, this is abuse. And she said, no, when you grow older, you will know exactly what I was preparing you for. And I truly experienced that. I know today that it was that push and that drive that allowed me to get through all these rough patches of my life, because my life is not a smooth sail. I have so many rough roads, and it causes me sometimes to just break down. But she was grooming us for what was to come, and we didn't know. There were days when my mother could only afford one meal, and she wouldn't eat any. She would just give it to me and my brother only. And she would bake these huge puddings. And when I was going to high school, she would just give us slices because we didn't have lunch money. And she would give us slices, and we had to go under a tree to eat because we didn't want our friends to see us eating puddings because we're in high school. And these are the reasons why I sing. It's because of the goodness of God and how He carried me through praises. That is why I sing. I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I am free, for His eyes is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me, and I know He watches